Have you ever felt your heart just stop? That split second of silence, that eerie, hollow pause. Movies make it look dramatic. Life makes it feel terrifying. Somewhere between Hollywood and your own chest, a myth was born. Can you actually feel or even hear your own heart stop? Or is your body playing a much stranger trick on you? Today, we put this chilling myth to the test. Myth or reality? Let's dive in. For decades, movies have used one classic trick. A character gasps, clutches their chest, and whispers, "My heart, it stopped." Medical dramas made the image unforgettable, a flat green line, a piercing beep. And then, dramatically, a jolt of electricity brings the hero back to life. It's one of the most iconic scenes in film history. But long before movies, cultures already told stories of people scared to death. Some called it a curse, others called it a broken heart. For centuries, sudden deaths after intense fear or grief were treated as mysterious. The phrase heartbroken isn't just poetic, it hints at something the body actually does. Then came everyday moments, the sudden fright, the near-miss car accident, and people started noticing something strange in their own chests. A flutter, a thud, a pause that felt like it lasted forever. In the 2000s, wearable heart monitors made this feeling impossible to ignore. Suddenly, everyone could see their own heartbeat skip in real time. Searches for "heart skipped a beat, should I worry?" exploded overnight. Online communities filled with people swearing they felt their heart stop completely. Doctors started hearing the same worried question again and again. So what is actually happening in that strange silent moment? Is it truly your heart stopping or something else entirely? Let's find out where fact ends and fear begins. Let's start with the sensation itself, because it is very real. Doctors call it a premature beat, an early extra heartbeat. After that early beat, the heart takes a longer pause to reset. That pause is what feels like your heart stopping for a second. Then the next beat lands harder than usual, and you notice it. There's also a very real fainting response tied to fear. It's called vasovagal syncope, a sudden drop in heart rate and blood pressure. In extreme cases, it can genuinely make you faint. For a brief moment, the heart really does slow down and even pause. It's rare, dramatic, and completely real, just usually harmless. Cardiologists have documented brief pauses on heart monitors before. Sometimes the heart's electrical signal genuinely hesitates for a second or two. These are called sinus pauses, and yes, they're a real medical finding. Long-term heart monitors have caught these pauses happening during totally normal daily life. For many people, it happens and passes without them even noticing. There's also a phenomenon anthropologists call voodoo death. Cases exist of otherwise healthy people dying shortly after extreme shock or fear. Researchers believe a massive flood of stress hormones can overwhelm the heart. In extreme cases, that surge can trigger dangerous heart rhythms. It sounds like folklore, but doctors take this phenomenon seriously. Modern medicine even has a name for a related condition: broken heart syndrome. Officially, it's called Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. Extreme emotional shock can cause part of the heart to temporarily balloon and stop pumping properly. It can mimic a real heart attack: chest pain, shortness of breath, the whole picture. The good news? Most people fully recover within weeks. Wearable heart trackers have made all of this impossible to hide. Millions of people now watch their own heart rhythm in real time, and plenty of them have caught a genuine skipped beat on camera. Viral videos of real heart monitor footage only fueled the myth further. For millions of people, this isn't imagination. It's something they've genuinely felt. Fear also triggers a massive adrenaline surge. That surge can make the heart race, stumble, or thud unevenly. Some scientists call this the body's built-in freeze response. For a split second, your whole body seems to hit pause. No wonder it feels like your heart stops along with everything else. Ask any cardiologist and they'll tell you the same thing. Skipped or extra beats are one of the most common heart complaints they hear. Most people who feel it are perfectly healthy. The sensation itself is real, common, and usually completely harmless. So on paper, the case for "your heart really can pause" looks pretty solid. Let's be very clear about something important. The skip most people feel isn't your heart stopping at all. It's an extra, early heartbeat followed by a very short reset pause. That pause usually lasts less than a second, nowhere close to your heart actually stopping. In medical terms, it's a world away from true cardiac arrest. Feeling it doesn't mean something dangerous is happening. Now let's talk about what really happens when a heart actually stops. When true cardiac arrest happens, the brain loses its blood supply almost instantly. Consciousness fades within about 10 to 20 seconds. There's no time for a calm, dramatic realization. You wouldn't be lucidly noticing, listening, or narrating the moment. By the time your heart truly stops, your brain has already started shutting down. Which brings us back to that classic movie scene. If someone's heart genuinely stopped completely, they wouldn't be delivering a calm, tearful monologue. They'd already be unconscious, and every second would count. It makes for powerful storytelling, but it's not how a real cardiac arrest looks. Hollywood needed drama. The body doesn't work that way. It's a myth built for the screen, not for biology. Speaking of movies, let's bust one more classic scene. You've seen it 100 times. A flatlined heart, then a dramatic shock brings it roaring back. In reality, a defibrillator can't restart a heart that has completely flatlined. Defibrillators are actually designed to reset a heart beating chaotically, not a heart that's gone silent. That chaotic rhythm is called fibrillation, a heart quivering instead of pumping properly. For a truly flatlined heart, doctors rely on chest compressions and medication, not a jolt of electricity. One more piece of movie magic gently debunked. Here's something else worth knowing. Fear distorts how we perceive time. During intense fear, a second can genuinely feel like it stretches much longer. That's likely why a half-second pause can feel like your heart stopped for ages. Studies on time perception show our brains often exaggerate these brief moments. What you remember feeling and what your heart actually did aren't always the same thing. Our internal sense of time is a surprisingly unreliable narrator. Let's revisit voodoo death and broken heart syndrome for a moment. Both are real, but they're also extremely rare. Most documented cases involve extreme, prolonged psychological trauma, not an ordinary jump scare. A sudden fright from a horror movie almost never causes this. Your heart pounding after a scare is completely normal and not remotely the same danger. So no, watching a scary movie won't stop your heart in any real sense. When doctors actually study what people feel versus what monitors record, the subjective sensation almost always maps onto a short, harmless pause. True dangerous pauses are rare, and they show up very differently on the monitor. Doctors look for patterns, frequency, duration, and other symptoms, not just the feeling alone. If it happens rarely and passes quickly, it's usually nothing serious. But frequent episodes, fainting, or chest pain deserve a real medical check. The feeling is common. The danger, in most cases, is not. So what's the actual medical consensus here? Doctors agree the sensation of a skipped beat is real and usually harmless. But your heart literally stopped and you felt it happen is not medically accurate. Those are two very different experiences wearing the same scary name. One is your heart briefly stumbling. The other is a genuine medical emergency. Which brings us to the moment you've been waiting for. It's time for the verdict. Can you really hear or feel your heart stop? Based on the evidence, the honest answer is mostly myth. What you're feeling almost never means your heart actually stopped. It's an extra beat and a short pause, a real common, usually harmless glitch. But it's not pure fiction either. Real sinus pauses do happen, and rare conditions like broken heart syndrome are genuine medical events. The sensation itself is completely real, millions of people feel it. And the dramatic movie version, a flatlined heart shocked back to life, is its own separate myth. The myth isn't that something happens in your chest. The myth is the dramatic movie-style version most people imagine. In reality, it's usually your heart briefly stumbling, not stopping. Most cardiologists would call it usually harmless, rarely worth panicking over. So the next time you feel that flutter, you don't have to assume the worst. Just remember, frequent, painful, or fainting episodes still deserve a doctor's attention. Verdict: mostly myth, with a small genuine medical truth hidden inside. Not magic, not nonsense, just nuanced. And honestly, that's how most scary body sensations actually work. Which brings us to one more surprising twist you probably didn't expect. Because the story doesn't quite end here, here's a twist that's honestly stranger than the myth itself. Your heart doesn't actually need your brain to keep beating. It has its own built-in pacemaker, a tiny cluster of cells generating its own electrical rhythm. Scientists discovered this back in the 1800s, watching a heart's natural electrical rhythm in action. Even completely removed from the body, a heart can keep beating for a while, all on its own. That's actually how heart transplants work. The new heart beats using its own internal rhythm. Your brain can speed it up or slow it down, but it doesn't have to tell it to beat at all. Compared to that, a heart briefly pausing for a fraction of a second suddenly sounds a lot less mysterious. Your heart is basically running its own show 24 hours a day without asking permission. Around 100,000 beats a day, mostly without you ever noticing. It keeps going while you sleep, while you dream, without you lifting a finger. And that's not even the most surprising part of this story. Almost every language on Earth has some version of the same phrase. My heart stopped. My heart broke. My heart skipped a beat. Completely different cultures, completely different languages, all landing on the same idea. From ancient poetry to modern text messages, the heart has always been the symbol of sudden feeling. Long before we understood biology, people already sensed the heart reacts to emotion, and modern medicine actually agrees with them, just not in the way movies suggest. Here's the real surprising fact. Grief truly can hurt your heart. Researchers call it the widowhood effect. In the days and weeks after losing a loved one, the risk of a real heart event genuinely rises. The highest risk is often in the very first days of intense grief. It's one more reason doctors take emotional loss seriously as a genuine health concern. So while your heart probably isn't stopping from a jump scare, it really can be affected by deep, lasting grief. So what should you actually take away from all this? If you feel an occasional flutter or thump, it's usually just a normal skipped beat. Take a breath, notice how you feel, and let it pass. Most of the time, that's all it is. But frequent episodes, fainting, or real chest pain are worth a genuine medical check. Your heart is tougher and stranger than any movie scene gives it credit for. And that's the real story behind the myth of hearing your heart stop. If you enjoyed uncovering the truth with us, hit like and subscribe for more Myths Busted. See you in the next investigation. Stay curious.